It's 6 o'clock on Monday, the 3rd of January, February 2020. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. The head of the Socialist Party's parliamentary group, Taulan Bala, said that all those involved in criminal activity will be vetted out and seized. From this side of the hall, there will never be anyone who will be against bringing the reform to the justice system. And I say as an Albanian, if anyone involved in criminal activity will get what's coming for them due to the establishment of new institutions. The SPAC has been set up and has a functional verification task. The state police still have this obligation, but we have set deadlines. Even today, it has the identification to monitor the persons involved. It has been 30 years in this country that there has not been any kind of criminal who has went to jail, finished their jail sentence, or his property was not verified or confiscated. Clearly defined in Section 2.3 in the normative act of the law, when you are in the process of verification or have a final decision, the verification of property isn't a requisite. What this means is if you have been arrested for drugs and you have been convicted for selling drugs, your wealth is still protected. But why should this be? In what country in the world is that you are convicted of a criminal activity and you are allowed to secure your wealth through criminal activity and not have it confiscated? The Socialist Movement for Integration Vice Chairman Petrit Vasili, in a press statement, reacted to the Rama government's KCK package. According to Vasili, justice reform was undertaken to have the justice independent of politics and less so by the government. He said it was Rama himself who turned Albania into a money laundering machine. It's Edi Rama who turned Albania into this money laundering machine to the extent that the Council of Europe brought Albania to a place for washing dirty money. From a monitoring that Albania had emerged from years as a country that no longer had this problem, so the issue of dirty money is back again by Edi Rama. At the same time, because of this government, Albania is one of the 3 most corrupt countries on the globe, alongside Sierra Leone and some countries in Africa, who are quite aware of the abysmal levels of democracy and the rule of law. It is best known because the U.S. State Department has ruled clearly that Albania under Edi Rama's rule was brought backwards as a base for criminal organization and crimes by the U.S., Latin America, the Middle East, and Europe. So it is quite clear as the light of day that the man who collected crime, lives with crime, uses crime, shares money with crime, shares public and state funds with crime, cannot be the one who can fight crime. And much less so practice with this anti-legal, anti-constitutional instruments oppose judicial reform, Vasili said. The European Union integration, the opening of the negotiations, and the anti-KCK package are some of the issues Prime Minister Edi Rama discussed with the European Parliament President David Sassoli. Rama said that the operation of law and order in anti-KCK is proof that despite the negotiations being opened, we will continue to work as normal. We have had as the center of discussion the process of integration, new dates that this process will be discussed in relation to the opening of negotiations and the new government initiative, a special law package against the KCK. I am very pleased that the visit of the President today coincides with the first law enforcement operation on the ground. This is just another example conveying how serious we are to make a change for this country. We have shown that this both with justice reform and vetting. This is a guaranteed process because of our cooperation with the important SPAC structure and the special court that are the product of the new judicial law reform. We couldn't do it because we didn't have the SPAC and couldn't try the cases of those corrupt judges and prosecutors or judges and prosecutors who are about to leave the KCK. We are now in the situation when we have the first crucial mechanism of justice reform. Integration, the opening of negotiations, and the anti-KCK package are some of the issues Prime Minister Edi Rama discussed with the European Parliament President David Sassoli. At a press conference, Sassoli once again stressed that it was time for the EU integration. There has been a slowdown before the end of the year, but the accession process has to start again. The Parliament, the European Commission, and many member states are convinced, and also I am convinced that it is only a delay, but that it is being overwhelmed by major government initiatives such as the fight against organized crime. You know the frustration that civil society felt the same way that we do, and we have to overcome some questions. No for negotiations is a frustration for both civil society and for us. We have to persuade everyone to open negotiations. The position of some governments was to review the methodology of the accession process. Vetvendosje leader Albin Kurti at the plenary session, where the new government is expected to vote, unveiled his ruling program to those present. One of them is the indictment against Serbia. We will enable the conviction of war crimes and the adoption of law on war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity. An institute for war crimes that supports the prosecution and the documentation of war crimes will be established. The lawsuit will be prepared against Serbia at the International Court of Justice for crimes committed in Kosovo. Kurtin stated that he was ready to lead a dialogue for which there was a comprehensive negotiation team. In his program, he said Kosovo's budget would reach 3 billion euros, would have fewer state positions, stimulate employment, and lead the continuation of talks with Serbia. Some of the new government priorities are the reduction of public expenditure, the depoliticization of state administration, the reduction in the number of the government ministers down to 15 ministers from the early amount of 21 and down to 33 vice ministers from the previous number of 80, the promotion of employment and economic development, the establishment of sovereign fund, the subsidization of salaries for the private sector, more rights and legal protection for workers, increasing Kosovo's budget to 3 billion euros, creating a loan, tuition, and incentive fund for the most distinguished students, establishment of technology centers, stimulating this policy in the field, protection of environment and protection of water resources, improvement of air quality, vetting and equality before the law, fighting corruption in administration on society, compulsory military service, the revision of the law on higher education, increasing the budget to 50 million euros for health, development of road and railway infrastructure, creation of Kosovo and Albania's joint energy increased decision for making the full diaspora, full trade and economic political reciprocity with Serbia, development of dialogue with Serbia, and good neighborly relations. And finally, oil men at the Balch plant continue their protest over arrears and their resumption of the work plant. There are more than 800 oil tankers who threaten to go on a hunger strike if they do not reach a solution. With the previous 4 months without pay and uncertainty about returning to work, oil men say are living in truly difficult times. Even bread is hard to come by these days, and the children say they have been removed from school. We're receiving bread by marketing our names in like of times of Enver. In this post on Monday, they protested in front of the Fier prefecture. They demanded their salaries, insurance, and sounded the alarm about the hazard posed by the plant as a result of non-maintenance. Who else would take over this refining under the technical conditions? This privatization has come to a loss. They feel that they are abandoned by the government, and if they do not intervene for a quick solution, they are warning of taking a hunger strike. Hunger strike, either turn off the refinery completely or turn it on once for all. The Balch refinery operating back in September was closed due to a lack of crude oil from Bankers Petroleum. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.